silence of mediocrity to disperse expansive, game-changing marketing wisdom. This is the Jeff Payne Show.
Reaching for a higher place than we can reach alone. Get up, get in, it's time to win. This is the Jeff Payne Show.
On June 16th, Evan Spiegel walked on stage at the Augmented World Expo in front of a room full of journalists, investors, and true believers. He unveiled Snapchat's new spectacles, a wearable computer, AR glasses, his vision of the post-smartphone era. By the time the keynote ended, Snap had lost more than $1 billion in market cap. The stock was down 10%. And the internet had decided the glasses looked like solar eclipse viewers. Now, I'm not here to pile on Snap. What happened that day is not really a product story. It's a brand story, and it has everything to do with the businesses you run. I'm Jeff Payne. Welcome to the Jeff Payne Show. You're listening to episode number 17.
And now, our feature presentation.
So let's talk about what actually happened with Snap. Spiegel priced the spectacles at $2,195. That's 6 times more expensive than Meta's Ray-Ban smart glasses, which retail for $350 and have sold over 2 million units since launch. Meta now commands 76% of the global smart glasses shipments. Snap launched into the same category at 6 times the price, with no story to justify the gap. And the market did what markets do when the math doesn't add up. Here's what Spiegel said on stage. He called it more than a decade of development. He called it the next computing platform. He positioned Snap as the company that defines the post-iPhone era. That's the founder pitch. That's the Series B raise. That is not a product launch. When you're asking a consumer to spend $2,000 on something they have to wear on their face and in public, there's one question that matters more than any other. What does this do for me today, and why should I care? Snap could not answer it, and the market responded in real time. This is not a Snap problem. This is a 2026 problem. Brands that charge a premium and don't have a story to match are getting publicly rejected on the same platforms they need to convert. Let's run the pattern. Apple's Vision Pro, $3,500. Adoption numbers that have disappointed investors for more than a year. Then there's Peloton, once a $50 billion company, now worth a fraction of that after consumers decided the hardware wasn't worth the price. Then you have WeWork, a premium real estate company with rates for spaces that nobody could articulate the value of. The thread connecting all of these is the same. Consumers will no longer accept the price tag as proof of value. The brand has to do the work of articulating why. That's the value gap, and it is the most important brand lesson I've seen articulated in a long time. The era when cultural cash alone could carry a premium price point is over. The brands that survive the next 5 years are the ones that can close the gap with a story. Here's the diagnostic question, and it's simple, and it will tell you everything. Can your customers explain in their own words why your price is what it is? If they cannot, the brand has a storytelling problem. Not a pricing problem, not a product problem, a storytelling problem. I want to bring this out of the abstract because I've watched this play out in real time with a client of mine. Colt Melrose is a commercial photographer in Houston. He shoots executive headshots, and he is not cheap. He is the best, but you're not walking in to get a $200 profile picture. Colt's session started around $1,500. Some clients spend $4,000 or more. Now think about what that prospect is doing before they book. They open Google, or these days they open an AI, they type best headshot photographer in Houston, and they start scrolling. In that list, there's a guy charging $200 And then there's Colt. The thumbnails look similar enough. The reviews are good across the board. If Colt brand doesn't do the work of explaining why the gap exists, the $200 guy wins by default every time. So what did Colt do? He built a library of client success stories, not testimonials, not 5-star reviews, real stories. There's a story on his site from a wealth management advisor named Daniel Goodwin. Daniel talks about how his new headshots led to an additional $1 million in new revenue that he attributed to his headshots from Colt. His referral flow changed. His client acquisition moved up market. He closes different deals now than he did before. There's one from a Houston business attorney named Greg Phillips, a founding partner of Phillips Kaiser, a highly regarded business law firm in Houston. There's another story from Craig Kaiser, a founding partner of the same law firm, from others across different industries and career stages. We call them the $1 million headshot stories because they're built around the ROI that professional visual positioning can generate in high-trust, high-ticket industries. And here's what I want you to hear. Colt is barely in the stories. The clients are the heroes. The session is the tool. What changed is the story. The brands winning right now make the customer the hero and the product the tool that gets them there. That is not an accident. That is the architecture of every story on the site, and it closes the value gap that every premium business faces. I sent that Snap article to Colt earlier this week, and I told him, what you're doing is the answer to the problem Snap didn't solve. You're making yourself the hero. You're making Daniel Goodwin the hero, and Greg Phillips and Craig Kaiser. And every prospective customer who reads those stories sees their own ambitions reflected back at them. That's the moment they stop comparing prices. So let me give you something to take away from this. If you charge more than your competitors, you owe your customers a story. Not a tagline, not a list of features, a story. Here are the 3 questions worth asking about your business today. Question number 1. Can your customer repeat your value in one sentence? Not a sentence you wrote, a sentence they arrive at on their own after experiencing your brand. If I asked your best client to explain why they paid what they paid, what would they say? If the answer is unclear, that's a story gap. And a story gap is a revenue gap. Second question. Who is the hero in your marketing? If it's you, flip it. Evan Spiegel was the hero of the Snap launch. The customer was the audience. That is backwards. In every story that drives premium conversion, the customer is the one who changes. The product is what makes the change possible. Look at your homepage of your site, your about page, your case studies, your stories. Who is doing the talking? Who is the subject of every sentence? If it's you or your company or your founder's vision, the story is broken. Third question. Are your proof points stories or statistics? Stats and ratings are easy to produce and easy to ignore. Stories are specific, personal, and transferable. When a prospect reads Daniel's story, they're not evaluating Colt's craft. They're asking themselves, could that happen for me? That's a completely different decision process. One specific outcome story from a client is worth more commercially than 500 5-star reviews. Snap lost over $1 billion in market cap in a single afternoon, not because the product was bad, but because the audience could answer the only question that mattered. What does this do for me today, and why should I care? That question is sitting on every prospect's mind every time they evaluate what you sell. The businesses that win are the ones that answer it in the story form. With real people, real outcomes, real specificity. The value gap isn't the brand. The value gap is the new brand risk. And the story is the only thing that closes it. Take a hard look at your brand this week. Who is the hero? What changed for them? And can your next prospect read the story and see themselves in it? That's the work. Not the tagline, not the logo, the story. I'm Jeff Payne. Thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to The Jeff Payne Show.
Find the complete archives of all episodes at jeffpayne.net or subscribe for free at Apple Podcasts and never miss an episode.
This program is copyrighted by Jeff Payne Incorporated. All rights reserved.
Each week we bring you a message of inspiration and hope, remembering that true hope is available to all through Jesus Christ.